Hey everybody, uh, as we as I continue using my Nikon Zf right here, I thought of spending some time with you outside from my office, from my room, and spend time in a local park, going around taking videos, taking pictures, and I'm going to share those pictures with you. But before I go there, I'd like to speak with you about the top 5 reasons why I think this is so far the best camera that I have used in my 20 years of 25 years of photography. I've been photographing since I was a kid. So and I used to have the Yashica camera. I'm pretty sure a lot of people remember that Yashica camera that we had earlier. And then I transitioned over to Canon PowerShot for a very small duration of time, and then with a Sony, and then with a Nikon, and then back to Sony, and then back to Nikon right now. But that's not the point of the conversation. The point that I wanted to make with you was the flexibility, the use cases that this camera supports today. Now, before I go in there, this camera has a very tactile feel to it. So if you like the old feature sets, functions, feel of a camera, you should love it. But if you don't like that old feature set of a camera, or you like taking pictures from an iPhone where you really don't have to do anything, you just just compose and hit the capture button, and the iPhone does the rest for you. Although the pictures aren't that great, but still, it takes a photo for you. So if you are that kind of a person, you may not like this camera or any digital camera. But if you like to take good photos, if you enjoy the surroundings around you, you will love what Nikon has given so far. Now, today I wanted to go over the top 5 features. The first feature that makes it very practical to use in almost all scenarios, right, is the capability of this camera, the power that sits inside this camera, of being able to support almost all genres of photography. If you want to do sports photography, just have the right lens in front of it. Don't go in with just a lens, go with the right lens. A 400 or a 70-200, a fast lens should suffice your need. This camera will support you with 15 frames per second. As far as the buffer goes, the buffer, there is no restriction in the buffer. I have loved the buffer in this camera. Let me show that to you right now. Right now I have set it for single, but what I'm going to do is I will go to C30, or let's say continuous high extended, right? And I have my 28mm in front of me, and I want you to see how it looks like. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. And what you want to do is so go to AFC, and hopefully so right around 4 or 5 seconds, I counted it, the buffer came into the picture, but it's a very deep buffer. If you can, if at 15 frames per second, if you raw pictures, if you can't take a photo of a sports activity, then you might have to rethink your strategy. Even you can, it's good for birds in flight as well, but maybe you want to go with a Z8 for birds in flight, or a Z9 for a birds in flight. So that's the buffer part of it. That's one of the things that I really like. And the big thing is that it can be used for almost all genres of photography. That's the number one thing. The second thing that I feel is good about this camera is the in-body stabilization. Excuse me. The in-body stabilization is the best that I've seen of any camera so far. Nikon, Canon, Sony. This Nikon has the best in-body stabilization so far. 8 stops of stabilization. Fantastic. I don't have any other words for it. So far, I've not seen 8 stops of stabilization. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, the third thing was, it's kind of getting cold where I'm sitting, so I'm going to put my cap on. I don't want to fall sick. And I know my immune system is not the best. Now, the third thing is the capability to turn around the screen and basically record yourself, which is something that a lot of YouTubers would want, and that too with a full frame camera. And that too with a sensor. I spoke about the sensor and why I liked the Z6 II sensor earlier. But this capability of turning around the screen and taking pictures or recording yourself is amazing. I mean, on a full frame body, good job, Nikon. That's the third thing that I really like. Other than the capability to turn around and take your own pictures, you also have the flexibility of going down. You don't have to bend over and then kind of take pictures. You can go take the camera this way, frame the picture and take a shot. That's the third thing that I like. The fourth thing, which I am not hearing a lot, especially it's good for me because I tend to have a lot of the older Nikon lenses, like this one, which I'm going to use today. The older Nikon lenses, which this one is the 135mm f2.8 lens, which I couldn't use after I moved over to mirrorless. Now, what this camera does is it's with the ability to shoot in low light. It also, what it does is it allows you to search for the focus. I don't know what they call in technology terms, but it helps you search for that eye or the subject. And then what you do is you punch in and go into the critical focus and take a picture. So it has made this set of lenses, the older lenses, which had its own look and feel, which if you have been doing imaging with the AI and the AIS lenses, you will understand what I'm saying, because the newer lenses don't have what these older lenses had, these rangefinder lenses had. The nostalgia, the imaging, the bokeh that these older lenses had are missing in these newer lenses. I feel like in the newer lenses, they focus a lot on sharpness, which makes sense because it's a digital world and the cameras are getting digital. But what they have missed is how good the bokeh looked, how good the image looked, which you don't get. Now, which you don't get today, which I've been able to use these lenses on this amazing sensor and I love it. So that's the fourth one. Now you see how 135mm, two of my favorites have been the 50mm from Nikon f1.2 lens. See how good it is? The 50mm f1.2, this is again an AI lens, it's a manual focus lens. This one is also a manual focus lens. I keep these two quite a bit, and I used to take these two with, I used to take pictures with these two in different locations earlier, but since I moved over to the Z system, not been able to use it. I missed them, but I still kept them. I'm going to use them today. The next topic that I wanted to talk about is, we spoke about the buffer, so that's already taken care of. The next topic is the black and white. A lot of the pictures a lot of the black and white pictures make it nostalgic and make it a very good street photography camera. Although I said it's good for all genres, but street photography is something that this camera specializes in. I'm using a 28mm right now. You can use it 40mm as well, but the entire system is extremely light. The look, feel, form, fit and function of this camera is so good that my wife wants it now. And I might not be able to do, once she takes it, I might have to go buy another one, or which I don't think I'm going to do. I'll just keep using my Z8, which I use for professional work. Or I might have to borrow it from her, but she really likes how light the camera is and the kind of images that it produces. and of course the colors make it, this color makes it really good. She loves this color. So yeah, I guess I might lose my camera, or I might have to borrow it from her for future work. So again, those 5 features are really good, and I'll keep going through the features as I present, but as I show this over to you. But again, the idea is that you take the lenses, go out, start taking pictures, and start enjoying the nature around you. So again, I'll keep making more videos out for you, and I'll stay connected. What I'm going to do is, towards the end of this video, I'll start sharing pictures with you from my lenses that I'm using. I'll use the 28mm a little bit today. Again, it's an autofocus lens, good quality. I'll share those pictures, but mostly I'll share my favorite lens, the 135mm f2.8 AI lens. Now this is a manual lens, but I'm not using it as a manual lens because I told you in the last video that I use an adapter, a Techart adapter, that converts this manual lens into an automatic lens. And in good daylight, like it's today, or even in the evenings, the focus is really good. So you don't have to worry about that. Now the focus part of it, you're really converting this manual lens into an automatic lens, which is a good thing, which is a big thing. Now, Techart is that adapter. There were some questions asking me about the adapter. I'm going to post a link in the description so you can go order it from there. I don't get paid. I'm a new YouTuber. I just try to be honest about whatever I'm using, and I've enjoyed it. So I want to share what I do with you as well. So again, keep coming in, keep checking in, and I'm going to start taking some pictures with this camera. One thing that Nikon should do, last point before I start walking and sharing those pictures with you. One thing that Nikon can do, not in this camera. I think this camera, they have reached a good level of perfection. They can keep on improving it, but a good level of perfection. But for the next set of cameras, like the Z6 IIIs and the Z7 IIIs, what they can do is my advice would be to keep the same feature sets that are inside this camera in the same Z6 III, Z6 II, and Z7 II body. Bring in all the autofocus mechanisms from Z8, which is perfect. And more importantly, make sure that both cards are XQD cards. That is one thing that I feel could be a problem for this camera. I'm using a SD card, and I think the SD card is slightly slower than an XQD. I got used to an XQD for a long time, since my D850 days, or a CF Express card from my D850 days. So that's my request for Nikon, that for the Z6 III and the Z7 III bodies, keep everything same, or maybe improve it. Add the autofocus from the Z9 and Z8. But more importantly, keep the same card in the body, CF Express cards in the Z6 III and the Z7 III bodies. That will ensure that all 3 of your cameras, this one I'm already predicting is going to be a runaway hit. This camera is going to be a runaway hit. A lot of people are going to buy this camera. A lot of Fujifilm people are going to move over to this camera now. A lot of Sony users like me will move over to this camera because of the looks and form, fit, and functionality. This camera is going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit. But with those feature sets, keeping the same cards within Z6 III and Z7 III, it'll ensure that Nikon has become a really big hit in the market. With that being said, I don't want to make this video too long. I hope you enjoyed what I'm saying. If you have any questions, keep on asking. There was a question from one of my subscribers about the buffer capability inside the camera. The buffer capability is fantastic, intense. I just showed that to you, right? The buffer capability is fantastic. Don't worry about the buffer capability. Just go out and shoot. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye. Now this is the park that I came out to do photography. It's pretty silent, and you can hear the birds chirping around me. It's a beautiful spot. Now I want to show you how the The 135mm with the adapter looks on the ZF. Okay? This is how the 135mm with the ZF looks like on the with an adapter. And I got 2 adapters running, and still autofocus is working perfectly in this camera. Now, more than a camera review at this point of time, it becomes the fun of not carrying a heavy camera. Being able to hold the camera with like this, and still being able to walk through without having a heavy equipment in my hands. This camera is not very heavy. The weight is coming in from the lens, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's the fun of photography that I'm getting it back with this camera. I had this with my ZFC, which was also a very good camera. But the funny thing about the ZFC is that, not the funny thing, but the thing about the ZFC is that it's a good camera, not very professionally built. A lot of things that was in the ZFC was made out of plastic. And you might end up hearing a lot of stories about the plastic battery door breaking and people taping that battery door. But coming back to the point, this camera is very solidly built. It's a professional level built for this camera. But using the old style lenses on the ZF is a different charm. It brings down the joy of photography, walking in a park like this, taking pictures, having fun. That's about it, isn't it? About photography, dude. Catch up with you soon. I'll show you the pictures. I'll share the pictures. I took some pictures with the 28mm and with this 135mm, and I'll share both of them with you. See you in the next video, guys.